All right, you join me inside the Corvette Stingray convertible now. Yes, this top does go back, which is pretty neat. We have so many things to go through here. And the first is the window sticker. This one's $85,330. So what's on this car? Well, first things first, it's a 3LT, which is like the top trim, leather everywhere, all that stuff. You get Bose, you get the premium infotainment, navigation, head-up display, front camera view. All these things are pretty cool. Performance data and video recorder. GT2 bucket seats. Not a fan. They're a little aggressive. But not in the bolstering department. They're just unnecessarily firm. I put my girlfriend in the car yesterday. We just drove it around the block, and she was like, not loving the seats. But, you know, it's not meant to be a comfortable car. It's got heated and ventilated seats, power seat bolsters, heated steering wheel, custom leather wrapped interior package. Wow. Let's see. Upper interior trim is in suede. So basically an Alcantara thing. A whole bunch of other stuff. Outside mirrors are heated. Power folding. Rear cross traffic alert. Blind zone alert. This one also has the Z51 performance pack, which is cool. So it gives you performance brakes, performance suspension, performance exhaust, performance rear axle ratio, electronic limited slip diff, Z51 rear spoiler, high performance tires, except this one's on snow tires, heavy duty cooling system, and then yellow painted brake calipers, yellow seats, and yellow stitching throughout. I actually really love this black with the yellow stitching, with the yellow calipers on the outside and the dark gray exterior. Jet black interior, shadow gray metallic on the outside. Pretty neat. Of course, this one's 6.2 liter V8, the base engine. There's no Z06, ZR1 trims yet, and it has the 8-speed dual clutch. No manual available. And maybe we'll talk about why that's not such a bad thing. We'll see. I haven't really driven the car hard at all yet, but we're definitely going to go for a drive in the canyons in this video. So now we've gone over the spec, let's get everything set up. So foot on the brake, exhaust fires into life. You would have already heard the cold start by now. Very aggressive. Everything's up to temperature right now. It also has a moving red line, so when the engine is cold, it only lets you rev it to 3,500, 4,000 RPM, and then backs off as it goes, which is pretty neat. Systems are booting up here. Tons of buttons in the center console row right here, and let me just walk you through what they do. So here you have your temperature control for the driver's side. You can sync that to the passenger side. Let me just turn that back off, which I do somehow by clicking off. Then we have heated seats, cooled seats, sync like I just mentioned, automatic, where you want your air to go, fan speed, whole system on or off. I guess I could have hit that too. Air conditioning, recirc, front rear defrost, passenger heated and cooled seats, and then temperature control for the passenger with a little display here when it's turned on. So a whole row of buttons for air conditioning and climate. How American is that? None of this makes the car faster. This is all to make you more comfortable. That's pretty interesting. Over here you have your shifter, which is park. You pull up for reverse, you push for neutral, you pull for drive, and then you push for manual gear selection here. You can also pull the paddles when you're in drive and select a gear. It only lets you go to first gear when you're driving, of course, but this is not bad. It's actually pretty quick to move around. I like this quite a bit. You have your traction control off. You have first level, and then you can push and hold the second time, which will turn StabiliTrak completely off. And there we go. ESC fully off. You also have a button over here to bring up your front cameras, which is pretty neat. So let's see. Do this. Hit the front camera button. Not working. Why are you not working? You can also go here to camera, which is also not working. Maybe traction control needs to be on for cameras to operate. No, it's just broken, I guess. So definitely some weird issue with the front cameras. I can't quite figure it out. I'm in drive normal. Does my seatbelt need to be on in order to have the front cameras come up? No. That is pretty weird. It's been working up to this point. Anyway, we have a little shifter thing here in the middle. It's not a shifter, it's a knob over this like mode thing. It almost feels like old Mercedes infotainment switch, and this is where you can set up all of your weather to my mode to driving modes, basically Tour, which is normal, sport, and then track. Weather I have not driven in yet, but actually like Tour. It's quite comfortable. It's a great cruiser. You could tell that this thing will just munch the miles. And that's all of the controls for here in the center. On the steering wheel itself, you have, of course, left and right paddle. Interesting thing, even if you're driving along, you can pull both paddles and the car goes into neutral. So you'd be cruising along, rev at your buddies, and then lock it back into gear, which is pretty nice. So I like that feature quite a bit. Cruise control here on the left, nothing adaptive, just basic cruise, but it does have forward collision warning with braking and pedestrian warning. You have your track up and down and volume on the right side. This is all pretty standard GM. And then of course you have your phone hang up. You have some controls to maneuver the main screen here, heated steering wheel, push to talk, and the farthest away switches I've ever felt in a car. You really have to reach to get these things to go over, which is pretty funny, for the turn signals and the windshield wiper. It's just something you get used to, of course. Anyway, let's dive into this system and get it set up before we go for a drive. Like I say, we always do about a half-hour video of setup and first drive. Our first drive we're actually going to do on the Canyon. So our first section, we're going to do the main screen here, and we're going to go home by pushing this little home button. You can also select this little home button in the bottom left for a couple different menus, I guess, and you can swipe through each one. So we'll start at the top. Audio, what do we have? Classic rewind, typical Corvette station. You just got to have classic rock on. You got to have the New Balance shoes, the mustache, the blue jeans, the big glasses. I was going to go get dressed up for my review, and maybe I will. That'd be kind of funny. This is not the review. This is just the first impressions. Again, it just got dropped off. We're figuring everything out together. I like doing these style of videos. So that's just audio station, where you want it to go. You can select sound settings here. We've already played around with it, set it up kind of how we want. There's a bunch of different modes you can set up, which is pretty interesting. Back to home, then we have phone. We're not going to get our phone connected, but you can pull up contacts and everything like this. Navigation, this one again has the navigation option. Man, is that an ugly navigation system. So I guess you can just search for what you want. So I can go here. Can I just type in Starbucks? So I guess I can just search for Starbucks and then it will tell me what's nearby. How about that? That works pretty nice. That's easy. It's the way it should be. Then you can just hit go. Well, no need. That worked out great. What else do we have here? 3D heading up, 2D heading up, 2D north up's the way I like to go. Things you can show on the map. It will show you, typical GM, all your traffic stuff, how you want to, be driven, your route preferences, map preferences, things like this. That all makes sense. This car is a Wi-Fi hotspot. Here's users. I'm going to create a profile for myself. May as well. So let's do it. So I need to agree to agreements to have a user profile in a Corvette. How about this? And it's pretty laggy too. Look at how long this thing is taking. There we go. It says connection failure. Do I need to connect it to Wi-Fi to have a user agreement? Okay. I guess I'll just drive as a guest. It's pretty annoying. Pretty interesting too. Back to home. Settings. Now we get into the fun stuff. This is what I like. Time and date. All good. Automatic, not 24-hour. Language, phones, Wi-Fi, privacy, display. Let's see what we can do here. Mode, auto. Yeah, that'll switch between day and night. Calibrate touch screen. Oh, that's interesting. You can touch the dot if it loses where you are. That's kind of cool. Sounds, maximum startup volume. Oh, this is for audio. Yeah, I like a nice and quiet. Sometimes I blast and I get in the car in the morning and poof, jammed with audio. Audible touch feedback. Oh, that's bad. We got to keep that off. All right, what else do we have? Voice, favorites. What are favorites? Manage favorites. Oh, this is your favorites for your radio station. Interesting that you do that here, and also for your nav and phone locations. So interesting. Updates. Can this vehicle be updated? Oh, we need to connect it to Wi-Fi again for that, but no need. Preferences. Download new updates in the background. Not my car. Don't need to do that. All right, so that's all of the system preferences. Now we have the app. Android Auto. I'm an Apple CarPlay person. I'll keep that on. You get apps. Yeah, I love that this car is CarPlay. It's really kind of nice. My Chevrolet apps and things like this. So we're not doing that. Now we get to vehicle settings. So the vehicle must be turned on. Okay, well, start her up. It was just booted up and now it's just showing me a Corvette logo for no reason. It's not like the system's booting. That's silly. Come on. We have to wait for this Corvette logo to go away, even though the car was just working functionally from a system. That makes literally no sense to me whatsoever. How weird is that? Okay, now we get Z mode. Z mode is this little button here on the steering wheel, and this is where you can basically go to all of your favorite driving preferences like this. So engine sound, track, we want the loudest engine, of course. Steering, let's see, I really like quite a light steering. I think heavy steering's unnecessary. Powertrain, track, so this is your throttle response, engine and gear shifting. I think sport is probably fine. So apply changes. And then what else do we have? Brake response. I love a really responsive brake pedal. Let's put that in track. I may play around with this as we drive. Then we get my mode, which I get to by going over here with the knob. And I don't know the difference between my mode and Z. I guess if you don't get a Z51 performance pack, you don't get the Z button. This is my guess. Therefore, you can set up my mode. So you can have two preferences. So I guess my mode I'm going to put for cruising, which I will keep the engine sound in sport, the steering in tour, and the brake response in track. Although doesn't that sound like what I just had before? But this isn't powertrain characteristics, so I don't know. Probably just drive it in Z mode everywhere. Auto fan speed, I like a low fan speed, so we'll put that low. Auto cooled seats, auto heated seats, nice. Auto defog, auto rear defog, sure, we'll put that all on there. Collision detection, side blind zone, and rear cross traffic both have been working perfectly in my very short drive with it so far. Reverse tilt mirror, absolutely. I'm only want it on the passenger side. That's nice that you can choose. And remote mirror folding, so when you lock the car, the mirrors fold. Lighting, what do we have here? Vehicle locator lights, exit lighting, all sounds good. Remote lock, lights and horn, that sounds good. Remote door unlock, I want it to do all doors. Remote start cooled and heated seats, yeah. Remote window operation, yeah, that's where I can roll up and down the windows, I guess. Passive door lock, let's see, will automatically lock after all the doors are closed and you walk away. No, because I like to leave the car unlocked a lot. Remote left in vehicle, yes. Remote removed from vehicle alert, all sounds pretty good. Seating position, exit and entry memory, probably don't need any of that. Valet mode, nice that you can have that. Not sure what it does, comment below if you know. Probably just limits power and locks the glove box and nav system and stuff like that. And then you can have teen driver mode. Well, that sounds pretty boring. So it sounds like that's all the settings in this thing. Then we have CarPlay, Android Auto. We have some apps that it's loading. See, the car has a 4G LTE connection. I'm not sure why it needs Wi-Fi for everything. Oh, so you can have like Glimpse, Spotify. How neat is this? Pandora. Maybe I'll put my Spotify on here, although I'll probably just use Apple CarPlay for the most part. That's kind of cool. OnStar services, we're familiar with them for the last 20 years. Performance data recorder, super cool. It records with the cameras and also your RPM and shift points and puts it on a little USB drive or an SD card, I guess, and then you can share it with your friends on YouTube. So that's pretty cool. And you can change all of the settings if you want good quality recording or low quality. I like that a lot. A performance data recorder built in is neat. Of course, our climate control, we're gonna, we have it on the lowest fan for audio, but I can sync the temperatures. Kind of cold outside, 46 degrees right now, so that's all good. This car is on snow tires, by the way. The camera function is still not working, but will it work if I go into reverse? Yes, you can see how awesome that backup camera is. You can move it around, really fantastic. This is the front view, which I think is really interesting. And then you get two different cameras in the front bumper, one facing the left lip, one facing the right lip, and then the top of it is like showing what you're pulling up to. So I really love this whole system here. It's amazing for tight maneuvering. You got to get the cameras because you don't want to damage your brand new $85,000 Corvette, and the cameras will ensure that you don't. So I like that a lot. And I think that's all for just putting the car in park. All for this system here. We have it set up exactly how we want. Let's dive into the instrument cluster and see what that can do. So here we are in, I just need to make sure, I kind of have to look around this camera. We're just going to put the car in tour. Okay. So we're in park and the car is in tour mode, which is like its normal everyday mode. So on the left side, we can see our tire status. Just trying to think about how to even work around all of this. So, okay, let's take a look. So we're gonna be adjusting the right side, which is trip computer, trip 1, trip 2, all kind of makes sense. Fuel economy has not been great. Obviously, we've been having some fun with it. Current drive cycle, blah, blah, blah. Then I can move one to the right. We get a performance 0 to 60 timer. We get a lap timer, which you can coordinate with that performance data recorder that we talked about. That's cool. G meter, all that good stuff. Next over, audio. It's pretty simple. You guys know how audio works. Looks like we're pretty good transmission fluid, but need some oil. Let's see. It has revs divided by 10,000. So that's how many revolutions the engine's done. That's pretty neat. 136 hours, but 35 hours of idling. That's quite a bit for such a new, fresh Corvette. But these press media vehicles just get run into the ground. And this one's kind of on its way out. So now we get display design, link to driver mode. That's kind of interesting. What do I do? Do I just click Tour since we're in Tour? Okay. Info. I don't really know. I guess I get to just choose what I want to have as my normal display. So I can select track mode as my normal, but I don't really like that. Tour is actually pretty nice, to be honest. I like that quite a bit because then the revs go all the way to the right. Info tiles. So let's see, battery voltage. Oh, you can put what you want where. Oh, ELSD coupling is kind of cool. So definitely want that as a percentage right down here. It'll tell you how much of a lock you're getting. That's pretty cool. Tire status is up top. Probably that's pretty good. This one has the extra cooling. It's cold out. We're not going to be tracking it, so we don't need all of that. That's neat. Speed warning, no. Units, all pretty standard US. Tire pressure, head-up rotation, I think it's pretty good. Remote key relearn, I guess that's if you get a new key. Okay, so that's all the options, and then you can press this to simplify the display. Huh, that's kind of neat. I really like this ELSD coupling. I didn't even know that was an option. That is so neat. That's why we do these videos, because I get to learn about the car. And we're back to our trip computer. So that's everything in that menu. When I go over to different drive modes, you can see the gauge cluster will move around unless, right, because of that selection that I just did earlier, I've linked it to just always stay in the normal tour mode. So when I go to link to driver mode, now it will go to the track display. Makes sense. And then you can choose what you want your tiles to be and where. Honestly, I really don't even like that track display. I'm not a huge fan of the revs going across the top for me. I like an old school dial with a tack. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to go back to display design, and I don't like all the red here, and I'm just going to put it to tour mode. Is that weird that I like the base display? I just think it's the least cluttered and doesn't make the car drive any differently, so why not have a pretty smooth looking screen here? And then on the right side, I guess what I'll do is I'll keep this on, don't like a G meter, just a trip. I don't know, there's not much data you really need. And so that's a brief overview of all of the settings to get this car set up the way you want it. Of course, I can lower the roof with controls here on the passenger side. I can lower this rear window behind me, which is kind of neat. Good for exhaust noise. You can fold the mirrors, all the standard stuff. But I think it's enough talk, and it's time to meet you at the base of the canyons and drive this thing and see what it's like, because I seriously have only driven it around the city streets so far. Let's get it up in the canyons and go for a cruise on a back road. Well, we're just on a little city cruise on the way to the canyons. You can see the mountains just in front of us, right down the street from my house. And first of all, this car cruises really nicely. One of the benefits of a mid-engine car is you're able to have a much longer suspension travel and geometry that you're not fitting around an engine. So the front ends always ride really nice. The weight's over the rear with smooths out in the back. And it's a super comfortable car for being as performance oriented as at least I think it is. Now the power itself will try out. We're at pretty high elevation, starting at roughly 5,000 feet. We'll end up probably around 8,000 feet, 9,000 feet, all the way up. Yeah, maybe 8,000 feet. And it's okay. We'll talk more about that in the canyons. But I have a nice heads-up display gauge, like adjustments here, and I can change what goes into the heads-up display all from this little switch. So I actually prefer the base display, of course. You know, I don't like all this like fancy fake performance gauge stuff, but for the most part, it's a pretty cool gauge. It'll give you like your G's and then your revs all the way up. I think that's neat. We'll, I guess, keep it in there. And what we're doing now is we're just heading up Horsetooth Reservoir here in Fort Collins, and then we're going to go on some good canyon roads after that. But on the way, I think we need to talk about comfort and something about this car, and I think it's the seats. I just don't fit that well in. Again, these are the GT2 seats. I'm not sure where those fall. I'll have to do research. Again, this is just my first impressions, and I really don't like this steering wheel being square. I am much more of a circular steering wheel kind of guy. I understand the benefits of easier to get in and out with a square top and bottom steering wheel, depending on where it is, but it just doesn't feel natural, and I think visually this down angles of these two sides just doesn't look that great. It looks old school GM. I don't know. I prefer a nice 3-spoke wheel. I think they could have done better on this. I'm curious to see what other people think about it, but these are my impressions, of course. And overall, great cruiser, super comfortable. Haven't even gotten it into 8th gear yet, just hit 7th gear. We're running in 4-cylinder mode right now, so half of the cylinders are off. Again, cruising here where there's pedestrians and people walking their dogs and stuff. We don't need to be flying past everyone. We'll go to the canyons where no one is to have some fun. But yeah, so far great. Sound system is incredible. One of the best sound systems actually I've heard in a car. The acoustics for being such a small cabin are really nice. It's got one hell of a powerful subwoofer in there too. And of course the roof goes down. We're not even testing that out today because it's kind of cold, but it is nice. It will be warm in the next few days. I'm looking forward to putting the roof down. I do like that I can lower this rear window, drop it into manual mode. You can just hold the left paddle as well, and it'll go to the lowest gear. So hold, boom, and man, you get to listen to that grunt right out the window with the with that down right. The exhaust pipes are right there. That's a neat feature. I like that a lot. Let's continue up, hit some good roads, and see how this thing drives in a spirited manner, because surprisingly it's, I mean, other than the seat comfort and my seating position, I mean, the headrests are like way the heck back here. You can just munch the miles in this car. Pretty good visibility for being as sporty as it is. I can kind of see everything I need to see. Good blind spot monitoring, nice safety system. So checks off the boxes. If you want to daily drive this car, I see no issues with daily driving it at all. We haven't checked the trunk and the front space yet, but we should do that at some point here pretty soon. We are just at the base of the canyon, so we are in Z mode. I actually put the steering out of comfort and into their sport setting. It felt like overly assisted, so we'll try the middle setting. I have the rear camera up here. The rear view mirror is a camera. We've seen that in other GM products and other cars. Pretty interesting. So we're going to lock it in manual mode. We are going to have everything the way I've set it up. So we have powertrain and all of the track stuff, exhaust loud. We are just going to learn the car. So mid-engine Corvette's going to drive totally differently than every other Corvette I've driven. Of course, can't go into the same pretext. Let's see, on the street the car feels pretty slow, but up here will it feel quick enough? That's the question. We're also on snow tires, so evaluating its performance with the Michelin, I have to look exactly what tire it is. I don't believe they're the X Ices, but it could be. Let's see, Jeep over there, pretty nice. Just going for a cruise. We're not shredding. We will have this car on track in a couple days, so this is a little shakedown. Well, the noise is just great. Certainly, on a tight road like this, you don't feel that necessity for more power. Out on the open road, when you really get on it, it's not that impressive. You know, of course, I just got out of a Porsche Taycan. I've been driving my Model 3 around, and those cars are incredibly quick and electric and instant. So we're going to a naturally aspirated sports car in this case that really has a nice meaty curve, but down low there's not much. You have to rev this thing out to get the power, that's for sure. Here at 3,000 RPM there's really nothing there. It likes north of $4,000. So let's think about this really quick. The road has a lot of this like dirt over it. so we're not going to be shredding too hard. But the front end has really good grip for being a performance-oriented vehicle with a mid-engine. At lower speed, sometimes they do suffer from turn-in, and they can be understeering. And here, that is not the case. At least it doesn't feel like at sort of these slow speeds. It gets in the back on the power, wants to come out and play. Yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling the need for more power here on this road, that's for sure. Let's get it down a gear. Wait till we can see, and wide open. Okay, so the red line's pretty aggressive. It pulls right up to it. Feels like it needs another 500 RPM out of this engine. That soundtrack is pretty great though, especially when you have the exhaust and track mode, right? So manual transmission certainly would be more fun, but I think this dual clutch, I hate to say this, man, fits the character of the car. You know, the way I approached this was it kind of felt like someone had described a McLaren over the phone to GM engineers, and this is what they made. It's not as sharp and precise, and certainly it's not. I mean, this car is a $66,000 base price. Mirrors makes no difference. The only thing that makes a difference on this road is the Z51 pack, and the winter tires are taking away quite a bit. We're already reaching the limit of grip around these corners. You can see traction control cutting in, and it's okay. I wouldn't say it's mind-blowingly engaging. It sounds pretty good. Does the car encourage me to drive quickly? I don't know. Not really. I mean, the speeds are certainly high. You're shielded from how fast you're actually going, which is kind of interesting. But there's not much transmitted. It feels very sure-footed, very compliant, as you would expect from a car like this. Love the noise. The brake pedal, you know, it's hard to say because this car's been ragged on. It doesn't really feel that sharp. Like, I'm having to give it a lot of brake application to shove the speed on this thing. And also, when the car gets into ABS, you don't feel it in the brake pedal, which is kind of interesting. You just feel more brake pressure. Here, let's just stand on the brakes really quick. Yeah, nothing. It's like a brake-by-wire. It feels okay. I don't know how else to describe it. Certainly it's not bad. It's a mid-engine sports car. It's a Corvette. It's fun. Certainly it's approachable on the limit. It doesn't feel like it's going to snap you. Yeah, like I just gave it big beans there. Traction control was on, of course, but it's not scary. Very easy to handle at on-limit dynamics, I would say, with traction control. I can't wait to get this out on track in a couple days and get it a little sideways and play around with it. The soundtrack might be the best part about this car because I feel like I'm sitting on top of it. I'm not low enough in the seat, and this is as far down as it will go. Let's test out the windshield wipers. They look pretty good. And it's kind of... it's okay, but it's not sharp enough for what I was expecting, I guess. And a lot of that could be down to the snow tires, of course. Snow tires are going to create a little bit of slop and a little bit of play in the dynamics. Also, this surface isn't that great, but love that noise. The upshift, you got to upshift right at 6,500 or it hits the limiter and bogs, and then it takes a second for it to hit the next gear. So make sure you're on top of the shifting. I do like that it lets you hit the rev limiter and doesn't upshift. That's great. I think a manual, again, would probably be more fun, but this suits the character of the car. It kind of just feels like it's the base one, which it is. And there's room for more. There, you know, this chassis feels so underworked right now. It's so stiff, and what's nice about the chassis is stiff, but it allows the suspension to be soft because of that mid-engine nature. So yeah, sounds good, certainly very capable, but I can't wait to drive the Z06 ZR1 versions in the future. Those are going to be mental. You can just tell how capable this chassis is and how under-stressed it is with this 6.2 naturally aspirated engine. Let's just listen to it one more time. Hard to say if the brakes are just not that great or this is just a press car that's been ragged on track a lot. I think it's just a press car and that's been ragged on track a lot. It's sort of, I think we're the last stop before this gets retired out of press use. So this guy in front of us is moving. Let's continue cruising, shall we? low-end power, 2,500 RPM. No one's home. Things asleep. It's pretty nice how you have to rev it out, but then it's not really a high revving engine. So you only have a narrow power band between like 4 and 6,500 that it likes to work. That's really it. Feels okay. Feels nice. I certainly wouldn't mind. I'm not minding driving it. It's great. Why am I kind of on the meh? I guess it's kind of meh. I really want the Z06, the hardcore version. It's all of the ideas here are great. Just needs more drama. It's too grown up. Where's the Corvette that tries to bite you every time you go around a corner? Certainly, you cannot deny the capability here. This thing's a freaking rocket ship. It's a momentum car. It doesn't really have... It's approachable on the street because you're not having to drive it that easily. You know, to stay within legal limits. You can still push it pretty hard and stay at reasonable speeds, basically. I think it's pretty nice. Let's just go for a drive. I'm going to shut up. So I'm just going to hold the left paddle, downshifts all the way, make noise, get him out of the way. When there's one, there's always more. Except in this case, he just went right through, I think, the deer fence. How's that possible? He just walked right through that like he didn't even see it. Suspension control over bumps was really nicely calibrated. It soaked up those bumps. There was no hop. That's just that mid-engine life for you. It really is compliant over rough surfaces. One of the best sections of the road through here, just taking it easy because it just snowed the other day. Don't want to hit a patch, of course. But coming over the hill here, big power. And we're hard on the brakes. You know, nothing about this car. The numbers get big real quick. But you don't feel it here. It's just so confident about the corners, and I think that's what takes away from some of the fun. You know, Corvette's grown up. It's become, you know, much more capable in its abilities, which means the speeds are kind of having to get a little bit higher for you to really feel that it's moving around under you. And is that a bad thing? No, certainly not. It's just, you know, this car really needs a track to have full experience, not so much just a back road anymore. And the Corvette's never been really a back road cruiser. It's kind of been like a highway bruiser, a whole bunch of stuff, but big power. Yeah, it needs more here. Yeah, that's where it just felt a little underpowered, I would say. Yeah, I would say it felt underpowered. We're at high elevation, of course. We have some great section of road through here. This is where I saw a guy in a C3 Corvette the other day crash. I like this ELSD coupling setting. That's pretty nice. I like that for sure. It's kind of fun watching it and figure out when it wants to lock the dips and everything. So traction control is actually really nicely calibrated because it reins you in, and I'm just leaning on traction control going wide open, of course, which doesn't teach you how to be a good driver. It's just interested to see the calibration and watch. It shuts it down but gets you right back going quickly. Some ESP systems, even in supercars, will kind of shut you down and then hold you down and be like, are you sure you want to go? And then it feeds it in. This is just like correct, and boom, you're right back to driving. That's really nice calibration right there. Really like that. And can't wait to get this on track with everything off. Hope you enjoyed a little canyon blast in the Z51 Corvette C8 Convertible 2020. This one has 4,700 miles on it. Feels great. Transmission calibration, awesome. Can't say enough good things about it. Really like that I can pull these in and rev it. I think that's kind of neat. And then it just locks right back into the gear. So, wow. It's great to have my first go in the C8 Corvette. I know I'm late to the party behind everyone, but I'm glad now I get my chance to experience it. And I think it's really going to shine on track. This car needs to be pushed hard. But at least on the street, I wouldn't say I'm having fun. It's just very capable. But I like cars that'll slide around on the limit of grip and stuff like this. But certainly, if you had dry surfaces, warm temperatures, and summer tires, and you knew the road was clear, yeah, this is a very capable machine. Thanks so much for watching. We do this with every car, where we get a delivery every week of a new car, sometimes 2 cars a week, and we set them up, and we look at the window sticker, go through the options, get everything going, and then we take it for a first drive and impression as to what we think. I think I'm going to do some snow donuts in this parking lot. See you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.